That might have been it.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for those technical difficulties to the start of this race. We're here at Phoenix International Raceway for the cNASCAR Chris Cup Series, presented by SimNut Racing Sims. their season finale race tonight at Phoenix. We are working caution number 1 here. Carlos Zimmerman, Logan Brickey bringing you the action here tonight, this evening. Logan, I assume this has been an opportunity for you to be able to load into the server and check out the race, but we're already working 1 caution and we're not even 5 laps into this.
Yeah, we're getting close here. It was a bit of a mistake on my end. I loaded up a little bit late, so I'm just finishing up the updates here. But as you said, I'm not sure if any of the audio was picked up at all. But 3 drivers instead of the scheduled 4 drivers fighting here for the championship. Chris Otto is unable to make it due to personal reasons, so that makes the job a little bit easier on the rest of those 3 drivers that are fighting for this championship. They only have to worry about 2 other drivers rather than 3.
Where they all run right now, they run 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. I know we're really, really, really early into this thing. And Roberge is the leader of the 3 right now, so he would be the champ if this was the end of the race. But we still got a long way to go, folks. 156 laps is scheduled tonight. And then looking at the pit window, about a 64 lap pit window. So these guys are looking at potentially a 2 to 3 stop race, and they get 5 sets of tires too, so they can be up to 5 pit stops with usage of tires. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys play that strategy tonight. Chris Tomigassett in the 30 car tonight, running special paint scheme there. I believe that is a 911 tribute. Not sure. We'll check in with that if we do get to speak to him later tonight. And with how he's been running lately, Logan, there's a really good chance we'll speak to him tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been the best of the rest, if you will, here, the best of the non-chasers since he's joined into this series, but joined about halfway through. Never really had a shot at making the playoffs just because of that, but he's definitely been the best of the rest and always been a factor here. But, you know, if you're one of these 3 guys, if you're Chris Bass, Roberge, or Reese, you can't worry about those other guys out there. You've only got 2 guys you need to worry about beating, and that's got to be your main focus tonight.
As the green flag goes back in the air, we are back racing here on lap 6 of 156, giving us 151 here to go this evening. Chris Tomigassett back out in front and pulling away. Chris Bass settles into the 2nd position. Meanwhile, using the dog leg there is Takis way to the bottom, 3 wide almost with the 01 and the 98, but Takis got the butt end of that because now he will slide all the way back to the 5th position.
You're going to see a lot of those moves made tonight, Carlos. So that dog leg, ever since the implementation of that, ever since the repave of this circuit, that dog leg has provided some fantastic and wild restarts here. Everybody looking to get everything they can. You'll see guys tonight all the way down to that inside wall. Everything down there is legal. Even the aprons in turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That's all legal racing surface down there. You won't see guys down there through 3 and 4. Because there's not a lot of grip down there, but all the way down to that wall is legal racetrack for these guys tonight.
Chris Roberge nearly had a handful there with the non-playoff driver of Christopher Lawrence, but he clears him and settles back into the 3rd position. Right behind Chris Bass, meanwhile, the 30 of Chris Tomigassett, he has pulled a bit of a gap here. A 7/10 of a second lead over 2nd place Chris Bass, so a good run for him so far. So the championship runners 2, 3, and 6, with Reese being the one back in the 6th position right now. Again, folks, Chris Otto could not make it due to a personal commitment and forego to his spot in the championship. He'll officially finish 4th in the standings at the conclusion of this one tonight. A 16-car field, and everyone's still out on the racetrack, Logan, so everyone's been able to keep it clean. The reason we were under that first caution was for the 37 of Chris Raul Mesa. He's got a little bit of right front damage, and he is off the pace in dead last, 16.
Yeah, and again, that small field does play into the hands of these chasers too, or of these championship 3, I guess we'll call them. You know, the smaller the field, the fewer cars there are on track. So in a sense, you got to look at it both ways. It's a little bit easier to beat those other 2 guys you're racing against, but at the same time, there's fewer cars to put in between yourself and those competitors. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword with the smaller field.
Roberge gets a little bit of a good run there through 1 and 2. Folks, this is not the current Phoenix configuration where the start-finish line is on what was currently in this race the back straightaway, but is now the front straightaway in real life. So this is traditional Phoenix almost, with the exception of that dogleg, as Logan and I mentioned. Whoa! Getting out of shape there on the exit of 4, Chris Takis. Logan, the track looks pretty slick out there.
That's typical for Phoenix, and these guys are going to have their hands full all night long, and it's that short track aero package that they're running with the tiny little spoilers on the back, so the cars are going to be a little bit squirrely coming off of 4, not so much off of 2. You get a pretty good drive off of 2. If you try to hug it low off of 2, you might see that back end kick out a little bit, but turn 4 is going to be the problem spot here tonight with a bunch of cars snapping sideways all night tonight.
Takis falls back to the 5th position behind the 01 of Christopher Lawrence. Meantime, the gap is just continuing to widen for Chris Tommy Gossett, now a full 2 seconds over second place Chris Bass, and we're still real early into this one, and that battle for 4th is going to continue as Takis keeps it on the inside of Lawrence, nearly making contact. Takis, of course, was still in the running for a championship last week at Indianapolis, but with the miscues that he had in that race, ended up costing him, and he did not make the championship here for Phoenix. So Takis with maybe a little bit of a chip on his shoulder to maybe go and get to victory lane to finish out the season.
Yeah, and then on the flip side of that, you look at some of these guys that might have just snuck their way into the championship 3. We go back to last week, Carlos, and for the longest time, it looked like Chris Otto was not going to be able to make it into the championship 4, but it was very late in the race where we saw those tables turn. We saw Chris Noblet fall 2 laps down, and that opened the door up for Otto to jump in, for both Reese and Otto to make it into the championship 4. Remember, those two were the drivers that we were watching last week and that were on the playoff bubble, and they both snuck into the championship 4. So that being said, anything that's happened prior to this race it's meaningless now. It's a winner take all situation. It's a winner go home. So doesn't matter how you got here. All that matters is you're here and you've got a chance to go out there and get it.
Biggest mover so far through this field has been the 4 of Chris Cotila. He's up into the 6th position in that Chris Wrench number 4. Now has his eyes set on the 01. Started just outside the top 10 in this race, so he's moving pretty quick. He's got some good speed underneath of that number 4. Might be a bit of a long run car, if you will, as he's currently the 5th fastest on the racetrack.
We saw some good speed out of him. Excuse me, jeez. Saw some good speed out of him last week at Indy. If you remember, he did similar things at the start there on the long runs. He started deep in the field and was able to drive up through the pack and get himself wedged into the top 10 and even competed for top 5 there for a little bit of the afternoon. So definitely some speed under that machine.
Continue to try and run it down. Right behind him is the 62 of Christopher Reese, our 3rd championship contender right now. Not looking, I don't think he's really happy with his car right now, Logan. He was up in 4th at one point, but has cascaded all the way back to 7th here as this run has progressed.
It's a long race, though, so now is the time to figure out where your strengths are, what you need to do, and I believe this fixed setup league, so these guys don't have the opportunity to make adjustments on the cars throughout the race, but what you can do is adjust the way you drive the car throughout the course of a run. So if you're struggling on the long run, it's a good indication that maybe you're burning up your tires too early, so you take it a little easier on the short run and give yourself that speed in the longer runs here throughout the night. Little adjustments like that you're going to have to learn to make, because you've got a long window of opportunity to do so.
Back in the 12th position right now is Chris Jones, another guy that was still in the running for a championship last week to make it here to Phoenix, but again, like Takis, could not close the deal and was very close with how everything panned out, but he just fell short. Currently running back in the 12th position, just ahead of the 5 of Chris Hubka. Meanwhile, at the front, Chris Tommy Gossett in that number 30 is just continuing to open up that gap. And he has just shown so much speed week in and week out, and definitely the odds-on favorite for next year as the caution comes out, second one of the night. Just talked about him, Chris Jones here on the front straightaway, and also Chris Hubka.
Sigh of relief and a little bit of maybe some collective groans from the playoff competitors there. You always want your job to be a little bit easier when you're down in those pressure scenarios, but to only see 2 cars that aren't in contention for the championship 4 may be a little bit disappointing for some of these guys.
Looks like coming off the corner, Chris Jones just fishtailed it, and the car just snapped dead right on him and nowhere to go for the 5 of Chris Hubka. So a 2-car incident to bring out our second caution of the night, and really it was just the fact that this track is just so slick right now, Logan.
Yeah, and it's not going to get any better as the race goes on. Phoenix has a tendency to be slick, and it will stay slick. I've never been around here where there's been a lot of grip inside the car. It's very manageable, but it's tough to, when you get battling with somebody, you're trying to get every inch you can and trying to get every bit of a run you can off the corners, and sometimes your foot gets a little bit heavy and the back end will snap around on you. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys manage taking care of those that back end of those cars.
Couple cars have taken to the pit lane. Christopher Takis surrenders the 4th position and decides to come down, and he's going to use his first set of 5 tires here this evening. Also with him in the pits is Chris Raul Mesa, Chris Jones, and Chris Hubka were the cars involved in the incident. So essentially 2 cars just come down and decide to take tires. Looks like Takis may have just taken 2 tires there under that stop.
I gotta say, Carlos, 5 tire sets is pretty generous here this evening. Considering that we have some long green flag runs. If we have some long green flag runs to stretch things out, you mentioned it, there'd be about a 64 lap window for green flag stops. 5 tire sets is pretty generous. Obviously, guys, as you said, want to throw those tire sets on now after that first run, but should this race stretch out a little bit, you might see some strategy be played. Maybe not from our top 3, but from our championship 3, but definitely for some of those guys that are just here for a win. Might see some strategy be played, maybe trying to stretch the tire sets out for a couple stints or 2.
Pace car lights are out. We're going to go back green on lap 25, 156 of 156. Going to give us about 132 laps to go. Chris Tommy Gossett looking for another good restart. He's first. Chris Bass, he's second. Chris Roberge is third. Christopher Lawrence fourth. And then Chris Cotila right there in 5th with, to his outside, Christopher Reese, the 3rd of the championship contenders. Do they calm it down now, Logan, or could we expect maybe another caution despite the small field?
Yeah, I think you definitely want to, again, I'm talking in terms of if I'm in the championship 3, you got to keep it smooth and steady. You have no shot at winning the championship if you're not there around at the end. So bide your time, ride around a little bit, let everybody else do their thing, and make sure you're there at the end to mount the charge to win this championship.
Green flag back in the air. Chris Tommy Gossett, another great restart. The battle, though, will be for second, and that's the championship battle right there. Chris Bass right there in second. Roberge right behind him in 3rd, trying to find the line that's going to be good enough to keep with him. Lawrence 4th. Cotila is up in the 5th spot as Gossett now continues to just break away once again, much like he did under the last restart. Meanwhile, further back, Christopher Reese still sitting in that 6th position, trying to hold off the 48 of Chris Jonathan Leach. Chris Papa right behind him in 8th, a guy that we haven't seen all too much this season. He did take the green flag when we were at Daytona, but had a couple missed starts. He's worked his way up to the 8th spot in that Chris Co number 13. Right behind him is the car that is on, I believe, actually 4 fresh tires. Using his first set is Chris Takis. So he's going to try and dive it here to the inside of the 13 to try and continue to make spots up. Interesting move by Takis, though, to be one of the few competitive cars to come down and pit, because now he's on a completely different cycle, Logan, than everybody else in the field, save Chris Raul Mesa.
Yeah, so that's kind of the strategy I was talking about earlier, is we'll see some guys maybe gamble with those tires, especially here early. I don't want to call it a waste of a tire set, but experiment with this one tire set here. See what kind of strategy you can throw yourself on, and maybe you can undercut the field and stretch out those tires into a long green flag run, and then work yourself back up to the front. And then should a caution come out at the end of that long green flag run, you pit with everybody else, and you keep that track position that you worked hard to get on the green.
Takis now up to the 7th position. He is oddly enough, not the fastest on the racetrack. Obviously, the fastest is the 30 of Gossett, but of the other drivers that are falling behind Gossett, he is the quickest there as he now sets his sights on the 62 Chris machine, excuse me, of Christopher Reese. Chris Bass still settling in that second spot, but Chris Roberge, Logan, has not let him get away so easily as the gap between them is half a second.
Yeah, Chris Roberge, one of those guys that really worked hard to get inside this this championship 3 here. We look at his stats here and we see his average finish is about 6. No wins on the season, but sometimes that's the beauty about this this point system is you don't necessarily need to win to get yourself into the final 4, or in this case 3. So a little bit of a Matt Crafton scenario going on here from Chris Roberge, but he's been consistent all season long, and he's had good speed all season long too, and he continues to show it here today.
Lap 32 about to go on the board. Chris Tommy Gossett in the 30 pulling away. He's got 1.6 second lead as we take you side by side.
Since the VFW was founded, their mission was really to look out for the veterans community, to make sure that our nation upholds its promise to really care for the service member, the veteran, and his or her family. There are several ways that the VFW fights for veterans today. The top services include disability claims assistance, advocacy on Capitol Hill and with the Department of Veterans Affairs. We also offer scholarship opportunities, and then also volunteerism. For me personally, when I came back from Iraq, my life experience was drastically different from those around me, and the veterans of foreign wars really spoke to me. The reason I would encourage veterans who have served overseas today to join the VFW is because this is your organization. The VFW is for veterans. Every generation, a new generation of leaders steps up in the veterans of foreign wars and fights for the veterans community.
The Veterans of Foreign Wars. No one does more for veterans. For more information on the VFW, go to ahctv.com/sacrifice.
Back here at the Phoenix International Raceway, 120 laps to go. Now 119 laps to go this evening from Phoenix. The battle is on for second right now, Logan. Christopher Takacs with those 4 fresh tires all over the championship leader right now, Chris Bass.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what Bass decides to do here, whether or not he decides to let Takacs go, or if he decides to fight him off here, because you look right behind Takacs, and it's Chris Roberge that's giving chase behind those two. So real quick, Carlos, I'm not sure if it's just on my end or not, but I am showing that the 46 does have championship stripes still on that car. So if that is indeed what the broadcast is seeing as well, please disregard that, folks, as Takacs is not one of our championship 3 right now.
No, he is not. I do see those stripes on there. I guess he just didn't take them off. So ignore that, folks. He is not competing for a championship. This is not the championship battle. The battle is right now between Bass and Roberge, but that gap right now is at a second right now, but it could change very quickly if Takis is going to be able to get around Bass, but Bass isn't letting it happen, and that's going to hurt Takis in the long run because he's going to use up all those tires to try and pass the 97.
Yeah, and I think what Bass needs to do here is fight this battle as long as he can. But once Takis gets a nose to his inside, I think you got to let him go because battling side by side at Phoenix here he goes here. So I think he's got to let him go and not lose too much time because all that's going to do is allow Roberge to close up. I think Takis is faster. You let him go as he does and just follow in and ride behind him. Make sure you do what you can to stay ahead of Roberge because he's in the captain's seat right now. Still early goings here, though, in this race.
Yeah, only 41 laps through this one. And like we said, folks, pit window for everyone who has not pit is going to be around that 60 mark, lap 60 mark. Some guys may short pit. Well, we'll see what happens. But in 19 laps, Takis has been able to work his way up to second after starting back in the 14th position. So 12 spots in 19 laps. That's pretty efficient.
Yeah, that's I would say that's some pretty efficient driving right there. So we're going to see how that plays out, though, because as we've seen so many times in the past at so many other places we go, those tires will fall off pretty quick, and it's Phoenix is no different. So we'll see how those tires fare for Takis and see if maybe Bass is able to close back in. One guy I'm watching right now, though, is Chris Reese, who is currently running last out of our Championship 3 back here in 7th, trying to see whether he's just off the pace or if maybe he's trying to take care of his tires right now under some pretty good pressure from Chris Leach in that 48.
Leach trying to maybe use the outside to get around the 62 there. Chris Papa, excuse me. He's in that conversation as well, riding right behind these guys, just 4/10 off the 48. So we'll document Reese as the race progresses, as Landy returns to the racetrack now 3 laps down after making a stop. It could potentially be just the fact that the long run is not kind to Reese, and he's better on short run because, remember, on that first restart, he was up in 4th. So I don't know. It might just be the long run as he gets a little bit loose there. I thought Leach was going to pounce on him. He might take him here into 1.
Yeah, and again, that's where you've got 156 laps total. Here we're working on lap 45 right now. You've still got time to figure out what you need to do. It's tough to make that adjustment in the middle of a cycle, but whenever you get some 4 fresh tires on there, whether it be under green or under yellow, make that adjustment on that quote-unquote short run whenever you come back out under green. Drive a little bit easier, make sure you've got some tires left on that thing to go the distance. As we look back up in 3rd and 4th, Chris Bass, Chris Roberge, that gap has closed down just a little bit.
As they're going to deal with the lap car here, the 11 Chris Bull machine of Chris Matos, first car 1 lap down right now, so if a caution comes out, he gets the free pass. Now, looks like Roberge and Bass will clear him, but Roberge had a little bit of trouble trying to get around the 11, so he'll lose some time to the 97.
Yeah, that opened up the gap quite a bit, and it's a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of a comfort factor for Chris Bass. But again, folks, it's still early, but you like to establish that confidence early in the race. Like, okay, I'm running well out of the guys I need to beat. I'm leading these guys. This is good. It builds that confidence up for later in the race. But boy, I tell you, Carlos, when you get one of those late race restarts and you're battling for a championship, it doesn't matter how confident you've been, how good you've been throughout the season. The butterflies hit you, and it is so hard to shake them.
Gap between them now 1.2 seconds. He's got a 7-second gap over the 62 of Christopher Reese, who has lost the 7th spot to Chris Jonathan Leach. So I think the 62 is hoping for either a caution to bring it down pit lane or for a green flag pit stop to get him back together again. Man, Chris Tommy Gossett in that 30 continues to put a clinic as he has in just about every race he's been in. This being an interesting thing for Gossett. 3rd number he's used in this series. Started in the 96, sporting an old look, that the Hall of Fame racing look, and then he took on the 43 Classic Petty Enterprises look, and now he's in a 30, which is resembles the font for the 30 resembles Richard Childress Racing whenever they had the 30 in their camp. So I don't know if he's a really good driver, but it seems to me that he just has a little bit of trouble deciding which number to pick.
Yeah, can't find a home. But, this is it's season 1. He joined in halfway through, so maybe he's just doing a little bit of experimentation. See what he wants to run for next season. iRacing still has him scored as the 43. That is his league number, but obviously sporting the number 30 out on track. Nobody else is doing so no harm, no foul.
Yeah, no, exactly. Who was it who kept changing sponsor? Ken Schrader. He was had that thing where he would just continue to change sponsor after sponsor. So I guess in this case, Chris Tomigasa could be the Ken Schrader of this series, but in not changing sponsors. Well, I guess it could be sponsors and numbers. So, but anyway, I digress. Either way, running a really good race right now. Quicker, the next car quickest to him would be the Takis machine, and even then, Takis is about a full 1/10 of a second off of him, and Takis, with how well he's been running, he's already near that 30 lap stint, so he's about halfway through his fuel entire run.
Yeah, and just like I was pointing out earlier, Chris Bass is starting to close that gap back down to Takis, and in doing so, increasing the gap he's built on Chris Robert. So, whoa, Takis got really loose off of 4 there. Starting to really see that come in, and it's going to open up the door for Bass. Might play a little undercut scenario here, a diamond cut, scenario, getting right to the back bumper. You'll notice, too, one thing you'll notice, too, Carlos, is as the run goes on, you'll start to see guys use that dogleg apron less and less and less. And the reason for that is that transition from banking to flat asphalt is quite harsh. And when these guys have some old tires on there and this run goes on, that banking really upsets the balance of the car, and it becomes very, very tough to handle. So the reason you're not seeing Bass dive down to the apron is for that exact reason. It really gets the car out of shape late in the run, especially on a slick racetrack.
There it was again. Takis got loose entering turn 3, so that'll let the 97 take second place back, and then now officially put a buffer once again between the 97 and the number 98. So Bass now back in a position he likes to be in. It's not first, but he's still first in the championship running. We're at lap 55, 156, nearing 100 to go already in this race, Logan. This seems to be just blowing by at this point, but we are about 7 to 9 laps away from seeing cars duck into the pits for green flag stops.
One thing I want to bring up too, Carlos, is, in terms of the real world, NASCAR fans everywhere, wow, Takis really loose entering there. Got to dial back that brake bias, or dial up that brake bias or something, get that back end stabilized a little bit. But NASCAR fans in the real world, we're very skeptical about having the finale here at Phoenix, Carlos, and I might be a little biased in saying this because Phoenix is my home racetrack here, living in Arizona, but I genuinely think that the racing could be better here. I mean, it's a short track mentality you bring to Phoenix with that low downforce package as well. That the new layouts in the real world, of course, adds a little spice to things, and I don't know. I feel like it's a pretty good home for the finale.
I would have to agree with you as the battle is now on for third between Takis and Robert. Caution on the speedway. We're going to try and figure out who it could have been. May have been the 4 of Chris Cotila, as he is sideways on the racetrack up in turn number 1. Or turn 2, excuse me.
You're right. It was the 4 of Chris Cotila, but I noticed one guy that's going to benefit hugely from this is Christopher Reese in the 62. Was on pit road when the caution came out. He did lose a lap, but he's going to get the wave around under this caution. He's going to have some fresh tires. We'll see here if he does get the lap back or not. I mean, he's currently scored a lap down, so we'll see if maybe that was. I'm not sure if the leaders got around to lapping him before the caution came out or not, but if he doesn't, if he stays on the lead lap, this is a huge benefit to him.
Currently have him scored 1 lap down. As you look at the replay and what happened to the 4 of Chris Cotila, I believe he was running up near the top 5 at this point. Leach just got a really good run, and I believe he ran the 4 up the track. Oh, wow. I think something just broke on the 4.
Yeah, it just really kind of snapped on him there, didn't it? It might have been a wheel issue, might have been a mechanical issue. He's still having trouble here under caution. He's up there against the turn 3 and 4 wall. It could be something with his sim rig, Carlos. You know, we see that happening all the time, wheels failing all the time, and that could be the case here for Katila.
Meantime, that's why you're under the third caution. Pit stops underway down in the pit lane. Logan, first time we're going to see everybody down here tonight, so everyone's going to be looking to get 4 tires and fuel. Takis is pitting with these guys, so you were right. The strategy panned out very well for the 46.
Yeah, he definitely played his cards right there. Very tricky pit road exit. It's going to be Gossett off first, then Takis, and then Bass. Very tricky pit road here with that curved portion.
Yeah, it's going to be Bass off third as someone hit a cone exiting the pits. Roberge fourth, and then Williams just comes in and knocks it again as like Roberge fourth, and then Lawrence came off fifth. I'm not sure what the deal is with the 09. Chris Depot 09 of Christopher Williams. Oops, wrong button.
Did see him.
Looks like he's coming in the pits, so I
I think he was recipient of our lucky dog here. So he's coming down pit road now for his service. So he was our lucky dog recipient. And as we said, Christopher Reese takes the wave around. He's going to start at the tail end of the field. The 4 really still having troubles here, Carlos. He's reversing down the front straightaway right now. And until he's off the track, I don't see this race going green anytime soon.
They're going to have to be careful here as they come by.
Yep, absolutely. And there he goes now, disconnecting. Disqualification there from Joan for Chris Cotilla. So, not sure what exactly has gone on there, but I got to think it's something external from the sim regarding his sim rig there, Carlos, because it just was very unusual behavior from that 4 car.
Yeah, an unfortunate break for the 4. Had a really good car tonight. And it's just, when it's something outside of your control, it's going to hurt you. And so that's a tough break for him. Definitely going to be running in Season 2, no doubt. So we'll definitely see him back out there on the racetrack as cars are going to begin to take the wave around, those that had come down and pit before the caution. And Gossett's going to catch up to the pace car here, and we're going to go green with roughly 94 laps to go this evening. This is going to be an interesting restart. Takis is going to start to the outside of Gossett here. Unless Gossett does that little thing where he gets a really good jump on the restart, Takis may be competitive here with the 46, with the 30.
Yeah, so there's a little bit more banking in 1 and 2 here, Carlos, and that allows for that outside line to hold strong and maybe mount a run off the corner. But the advantage, I think, is always going to be to the guy on the inside because you have the option to use that dog leg. And on fresh tires, it is something you want to take advantage of. It is a little bit of a handful when you make that transition, but it's a lot easier with the fresh tires as he's back to green quite quickly here.
Oh, Takis nearly came down into the 97. Look who's coming.
Look out, there he goes.
He turned him.
Oh, what a save from Takis. Bass is gonna go around. Some heavy hits for him, though.
Oh, my goodness. And then plastered by the 13 of Chris Papa.
Oh, my goodness. That's not something that's just not a move that Bass needed to make this early into the race, Carlos. He got a better restart than Takis for sure, but the gap was just never going to be there, and then he gets drilled by the 01, and then the 48 hits him in the left or in the right front as well. And then, as you said, just drilled in the nose from the 13. Oh, gosh.
Yeah, you're going to watch this restart. Championship contender and arguably one of the best cars tonight, Chris Bass. Big time trouble for him. You'll see this restart here with the 46. He's going to make contact into 1 and gave a shot to the 46. He saved it, but the 97 couldn't. There's the 01, then the 48. And then I think this is the one here. You see Reese sliding through there on your screen, and then boom. Right there, the hit from the 13 of Chris Papa. I don't think Papa saw what the Bass machine was doing. If I was Bass, I would have just held it up there and waited for everybody to go by you and then spin it around. But now he's got no hood and definitely some internal damage on that 97.
Yeah, I gotta think too, Carlos, that might have been a little bit of the red mist descended there, because as you said on that restart, we've questioned this all season long, but there is no penalty for changing lanes before the start-finish line. So Takis took advantage of the good restart that Gossett had and tried to move to cover the inside, because like you said, the inside is the dominant line here, but there's a bit of an aggressive move. Bass had the run and maybe just was frustrated with what Takis did and put the bumper to him going into one. But it's just not the time or place to do that, I don't think, especially when you're out here running for a championship.
We're watching the 97 here. If he can beat the pace car off of pit lane, he would be able to keep himself on the lead lap. But I think with all that damage, he's going to have a prolonged stay in the pits, and the pace car is going to pass him right here. So move the 97 one lap down, the car that's been in second pretty much all night long. And I'm not going to say anything yet, but that may have been the thing that just took him out of the running for the championship, unless he can get a pair of cautions and a lucky dog. That's not looking good for the 97, but who is it looking good for? The 98 of Chris Roberge. Yeah,
Carlos, and I'm on board with him here now, sitting in the pit lane. And for the folks that aren't aware, these cars idle at 2,000 RPM. That's a good way. That's a good indicator of what kind of internal damage you have. And right now I'm seeing Chris Bass idling at around 1,600. So his day should, unless something happens to our two remaining competitors, the championship hopes for Chris Bass are as good as gone for him.
And wouldn't that be something? Bass has a couple wins this year. Recalled his win at Texas that involved the 46 with the 3 of Chris Morse. And then that got him his first win and effectively put him in the title race. Now the remaining 2 have not even won a race this year.
Right.
And are right now the two remaining competitors for the championship.
I go back to what I said, Carlos. It doesn't matter how you got here. Everything you've done up to this point is just, it's done. It doesn't matter. You're here. You're fighting for a championship. That doesn't matter if you've had 10 wins on the season or none, like these two remaining competitors have. You're here. You're championship 3. You're fighting for a championship. All that matters now. You don't even have to win this race. You just got to beat your other competitor. It's go time for these guys. This is a huge opportunity for Roberge and Reese.
Still a lot of race to go, though. Lap 68 about to go on the board. 89 laps to go here tonight at Phoenix. They are side by side for the second position as Takis will try to clear the 98, and he will. Crossover attempt by the 98 is foiled. So move the 46 up to second. Let's see if he has the speed to try and run down the 30.
Massive restart for Gossett, but I'm watching the 98 of Chris Roberge. That was a very conservative restart there. And I think we're going to see a lot of that throughout the evening. Some very conservative, very safe driving from both of these guys. Just making sure they're around to finish this thing, because we started this race, we started the race with 3 competitors, and now we're down to 2. So there's a lot of racing left to go, and this is maybe a little bit of a wake-up call for these 2.
Look at the guy who's come out of nowhere. Got the wave around under the last yellow, the 09 of Christopher Williams in that Chris Depot machine. That Chevy Camaro is up to the 3rd spot, showing some good speed here, trying to keep up with the 46 of Christopher Takis. But man, oh man, that 30, he is just shot out of a rocket and gone. But in the meantime, the battle for the championship right now is about 9/10 of a second. Chris Mesa, who had a really good run in the TechCup.tv Cup Series race at Atlanta, got a 3rd place run. He's up in the top 5 here in Chris Cup at Phoenix.
He was our first caution of the day, so a good rebound drive for him in that 37 machine. Solid effort so far to start this thing, and Roberge just seemed to settle into 4th place. He's found a little bit of speed, and he's starting to reel back in that 09 machine of Chris Williams.
As Reese, he's trying to start and set his sights on the 37 of Chris Raul Mesa. Chris Bass has returned to the racing surface. Oh, did something happen?
Yeah, the 09 got a big time loose off of 4 just to really back end really snapped on him there, but he did a good job of catching it, but it's going to cost him third as Roberge is there and he's looking.
Battle of orange cars right there, about to have a little bit of a battle there. The Chris Depot machine on the outside, the Chrissy D 98 to the inside as they continue to battle each other for third spot as the 37 looks on. As I was going to say, Chris Bassey is back on.
Oh, got a wreck off of 4, Carlos. Sorry. The 7 of Corvo.
Folks, we apologize for the technical difficulties. That was an issue on our side. So as you all come back to your race, we are at lap 91 of 156, 66 laps to go here this evening at Phoenix. Chris Tommy Gossett's the leader, but Chris Roberge hasn't let him out of his sight.
Yeah, he's mounting a charge here on this restart, and just to get you folks up to speed here, the last caution was for both was actually thrown for the 48 of Christopher Leach, but at the same time, further up the racetrack, Christopher Tack spun out of second as well. He has now scored 4 laps down in 13th place. So Chris Roberge now is the new contender to fight, chase down and fight Chris Tommy Gosselin for the lead. And a few spots behind him in 6th is Christopher Reese, our other championship contender.
Gossett up into that first position. Bears in second. Christopher Williams sitting in third. A good run for him. Other championship contender, Christopher Reese, there in that 62. He is in 5th, about a full 2.4 seconds behind Chris Roberge, almost 3 seconds off the race leader. He's just got to try and figure it out if he wants a shot at this.
Well, here's what. Oh, trouble off of turn 4 again. It's the 37 of Meza, and that's going to bring out our 3rd caution of the day, Carlos. I was just about to say, if I'm Christopher Reese, I'm watching Chris Roberge fight hard to stay with Gossett, and I'm going to take advantage of that. I was going to say if Reese backs up his corner entries and saves his tires a little bit, Roberge was going to come back to him because he was burning his stuff up to keep up with Gossett. So if that run would have stayed green, it would have been very interesting to see if Reese would have been able to reel in Roberge and maybe jump ahead of him here on the racetrack. But the caution comes out, and of course, it changes everything.
So let's go ahead and take a look back and see what happened to the 37 of Chris Raul Mesa. Looking back through here, looks like here he's on the front. Loose. Yeah, just got loose. That was all there was to it. Comes off the corner, tries to keep it off the wall, and yeah, just lost it. And the lucky thing for him is that car did not snap back to the right and take out anybody else. It was lucky for him that he caught the wall when he did, because as he was closing in on the wall, the car was starting to correct to the right, and that would have snapped him back in front of the field. But the lucky thing is he kept it against the wall and was only a 1-car incident. A little bit of left side damage, should be able to get that repaired and get back out there.
A little bit of strategy being played here. The tire sets coming into effect. Both of our championship contenders, first and second, Roberge and Reese, both stayed out there 1-2 on the racetrack. They have both used, by my calculations, they've both used 2 tire sets. Oh, there's Bass coming by there for the lucky dog. Really close to wiping out Reese as he came by. But this is a gamble here with the tire strategies. You know, the run wasn't all that long. We saw our race leader of Tommy Gossett, Chris Tommy Gossett, come in, put 4 fresh tires on there. He's got nothing to lose. But these 2 guys playing with that strategy a little bit to see if maybe they can stretch it out and make sure they have some spare sets down at the end of this thing. Because the race of the pace is dictated that this race is going to come down to a restart towards the end of this thing, and it's going to be a dash to the finish rather than a marathon stretch.
So yeah, sorry, forgot to take it off the replay screen. As here you see Chris Roberge and Christopher Reese right up there, 1-2, the 1 of Christopher Lawrence, 3rd. How about this rebound? Chris Matos, who was, I believe, got a lucky dog a couple cautions ago. He's up to 4th now in that number 11 Chris Bull machine. A good run for him. And then Jonathan Leach, who was just involved under the last caution. Despite Richard Pettying it right now, he's up to 5th.
Yeah, no nose on that 48 machine, but that doesn't seem to be slowing him down any. Still holding strong in 5th here. And want to point out that, you know, Chris Bass is still out on the racetrack. He's on the lead lap. He's finishing his repairs there, currently sitting in pit road, but he's on the lead lap. So want to point out that he's not entirely out of this race, Carlos. There's still a lot of time left in this session, or in this race, sorry, but should something happen to Reese and Roberge, that window of opportunity could open up again for Bass. So all he can do now at this point is just keep himself in contention, try his best to stay on the lead lap, and just hope some misfortune falls upon his other 2 competitors.
Pace car lights are out. We're going to go green, lap 99 of 156. That's just going to put us under 60 laps to go. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty of this thing. Folks, ignore the caution counter. It's not correct. We're under our 5th or 6th caution of this race. Oh boy, it's going to get really fun. Our 2 of our main championship contenders are right there in that front row, 1 and 2, that being the 98 and the 62. Christopher Lawrence and Chris Matos, they're right behind them. Row 3, Chris Jonathan Leach and Christopher Williams. Fastest car all night, Chris Tamigasa and Chris Raul Mesa. They round out the top 8 and the cars on the lead lap. Let's see how fast that 30 is going to get to the lead. But the battle we're going to watch is right here on the front row. The 98 and the 62. 62 wants to jump, but the 98, I think, is going to take this all the way near the start-finish line. Green flag back in the air. 58 laps to go, and a great start for Auberge. Not a great start for the 62.
No, and that's why he was kind of anticipating the early jump there from the 98, and because of that, it opened up the door. They're 3 wide through the dogleg, but that opened up the door for Lawrence to drive right underneath, and here comes Gossett using that dogleg and the fresh tires. Whoa!
Oh, wow, I thought he was going to wash up into the 62 there. That could have been disastrous for him. 09, little loose off the corner exit, but he keeps it going. Move Gossett to 3rd as he now sets his sights on the 01.
Yeah, it's that fresh tires taking advantage of it. Whoa! Big moment from the 62. He's going to spin. Nobody hits him. We're all good, but wow, that was a big moment.
He saves it, and riding the apron right now doesn't look like he did anything but flat spot the tires, so that's a big blessing in disguise for the 62, but that's put us back under the yellow as the 13's blowing up in the pits.
That's a little bit of a heart stopper there if you're Christopher Reese. The 09 did an incredible job of missing him. He was making a beeline for the driver's side door of that 62. Fantastic job by all those guys to miss it, and even by Christopher Reese. You know, we saw that correction up the hill, Carlos, and I thought for sure he was going to nose into that turn 2 wall, and really just does a good job spinning that car out down to the inside and then catching it once it was on the apron. And fortunate that he got the quick caution as well.
Yeah, that'll give him opportunity to come down and pit. So we'll see how that benefits the rest of his race. Speaking of benefiting, this is going to benefit the 97. He will get the lucky dog, and he will be back on the lead lap in 9th.
Yeah, and that was a perfect example of how anything could happen. So, again, Bash just needs to make sure that he keeps himself on the lead lap and keeps himself in contention should something go south for any of these playoff competitors that are still left for Reese and Roberge.
There he goes by the pace car and put him back on the lead lap. The caution coming out so quick, the 30 did not get back to the lead, but he's going to be right behind the leader depending on which line Roberge takes on this next restart. So it won't be long before the 30 of Gossett's back in front.
Yeah, he certainly made a charge through the field, didn't he? Those fresh tires really came to play into his advantage, and looks like Roberge is going to continue to hang on to that set. He's actually shown, I think, the most speed we've ever seen out of him this season. So he's looking very sharp here early on, working lap 102 under caution. So with this restart, we could be looking at about 52, 53 laps to go when we get back to green. So we're into the later hours of the shift of the race here. The sun's going down. The lights are going to be popping on here soon. Track's going to get a little more grip, a little bit lower temperature. So things could ramp up here pretty quickly.
As the pace car lights are still on, we're going to go back to green, likely with just close to 50 laps to go. Roberge is in a hurry. He is right now currently in charge of a spot in the championship. We'll step aside real quick for a message from Shorbas Racing Graphics. You're watching the Chris Cup Series, presented by SimNut Racing Sims here on the Flatout Racing Network. Lights are out atop the pace car. We go green with 52 Laps to go. The 98 of Chris Roberge. He is your leader. How long will that be? We'll find out. Christopher Lawrence second. Chris Tommy Gossett in the 33rd. And then Chris Jonathan Leach fourth. Christopher Williams is fifth to round out the top five. Reese, despite the spin, he is seventh. And then Chris Bass, who is now back on the lead lap, he is now ninth. My goodness, Logan, it's about to get wild if it already hasn't been.
Yeah, this is when things are going to start to ramp up. You know, there's only 2 cars in this field that are racing for a championship. Everybody else is hungry for a win. Nothing changes for them. So just because there's a championship on the line for 2 of these drivers doesn't mean that these guys are going to play any nicer. They're out here racing for a win, and that's what they're going to go for. So track is cooling off, grip is coming up. So here we go back to green. Another good launch for Chris Roberge.
Green flag back in the air. Yes, another good launch. The 01 slides down in front of the 30 to protect his move there on the inside as he's going to try and hold him off here. But that 30 is so fast. Here he comes to the inside as they head to the dog leg.
Yeah, but meanwhile, look at the 09 way down at the bottom of the racetrack. All of that is legal down there. He's going to take over third from the 01. A good move from him. It's not done yet. The 01 is going to fight back. That's Chris Lawrence on the top side there. Pass completed from Williams.
Williams up to the 3rd spot. Reese into 6th. Bass way off the pace right now in the 9th spot, just hoping something happens to the 98 or the 62 as the battle continues for the 3rd spot.
So impressed with how strong Chris Roberge has been this race. He's showing a lot of good short run speed. Tommy Gossett is there. But he's just been flat out faster all season long, but just such unreal pace and an unreal performance to this point from that 98. Running a little bit higher up, a little bit more grip there on the center of the racetrack, but Gossett's going to dive down onto the 8. Oh, no, he's going to stay on the track here. Going to take that first spot away, but that's okay. Roberge only has to beat 1 guy today, and it's none of these guys that are in close proximity.
That's right. He now just starts to ride behind the 30 here, but he's got to be careful in his mirror. His tack is really loose off of 4 once again. But look at that. Tail end of this group here is Christopher Reese. He is about a second behind him. If Reese can keep it up here and keep himself near the 98. Remember, Reese is on fresh tires right now. Roberge has not come down in a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see here as I'm watching through this run. The 09 gets really close to the 98. But once they get to turn 3, he just cannot hold his health through the corner.
I think Reese is, despite where he's at right now, I think he's going about this in the right way. You know, he's taking it right loose off of 2. Big save for him. That's going to allow him to get swallowed up by a bunch of cars here going into 3. But back to my point, I think Christopher Reese is playing this smart, Carlos. He's saving his stuff early in this run. He's letting the 98 burn his stuff up, running up there at the front. And I think should this race stay green, as he's under pressure now from the 46 of Takis, should this race stay green, whoa! Just flat out dumps the 48, does Takis, and caution's going to come out yet again. What was that about?
And the 62 nearly plastered the 48. Yeah. Lucky for him, he didn't, and that has brought us back under the yellow. Wow.
I'm not sure. Sorry, I'm just listening to the comms here. They're lighting up quite a bit, but I'm not sure what the deal was with that. Takis got to the inside of Reese on the start-finish and had the pass made, but he just sent it in there, Carlos.
We'll go back and take a look what happened. Bring out our 6th caution of the night, or 7th caution, excuse me, of the night. Between the 48 and the 46 here in the entrance of turn number 1. I saw Takis get a really good run down the front straightaway on the 62, and he's going to send it in here. Wow. And then, the 62 took good evasive action to get around it, and 48 kept it straight, but he was sideways on the racetrack, and that's why iRacing officials threw out the yellow. I don't know what they're going to do with the 46 here. Obviously, some unhappy folks down there in the underneath those hoods.
Yeah, I'm just unsure as to what went on there, but I'm just fantastic job from Christopher Reese, as you said, because that could have been his championship hopes kind of tossed up as well. Doing a great job of avoiding that. And in the meantime, I think we saw Chris Roberge finally hit pit road. So advantage to Roberge, but on the track, it's advantage Christopher Reese.
And the thing is, Reese is on 10-lap-old tires right now. Roberge will be on fresh ones. So Reese, like you said, didn't really use a whole lot of his stuff. But now that he's got Roberge behind him, he may have to use a little bit of his stuff.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's no way to track how many sets of tires each driver has left. So that would be a useful piece of information if we were able to get that. But I got to think there's at least 2 sets left for each of these guys. So I think advantage still to the 62 because Roberge is no doubtedly going to have to burn through those tires coming through the field to catch him. So Reese has gone about this the right way, I think. He just can't get the long green flag runs to play into his hands. So as this race gets later and later into the evening here, we're working lap 113 under caution out of 156. I think that play it safe strategy is going to have to go out the window, and he's going to have to drive a little bit more aggressive here on these short run restarts.
Pace car lights are still on, so we're still working this, our 7th caution of the night. When we go back green, it'll be close to 40 laps to go this evening. Tommy Gossett's got one of the best cars out there right now. Actually, I'm not even going to say that. He's got the best car out there right now. Still leading this thing. Christopher Reese up there in 4th right now. Roberge is back in 7th. Do want to document this too. Chris Bass has had a long extended stay in pit road, and he's back off the lead lap. So that's going to all but wrap up his championship hopes, and he'll end up 3rd on the grid and 3rd in points at the end of this one as the pace car lights are out, and we'll go green next time, bud.
So we've seen the outside on these restarts, Carlos. They've been able to get down to the bottom fairly easily entering turn 1 because that bottom gets such a good launch on these restarts. But I'm interested to see how aggressive Reese gets in doing and getting that action completed. How aggressive will he be to get down to the inside, because you don't want to lose all that track position on these restarts. Even though there's such a few amount of cars out there, I'm looking at it here now. Christopher Landy, the last one at the tail end of this group, he's currently scored a 9th, 1 lap down. So 8 cars on the lead lap here as we come back to green.
Gossett looking to get the good jump here on this restart. Looks like he backed off a little bit. That might allow someone to keep up with him, that being that 09, because he has shown some good short run speed. Green flag back in the air. 42 laps to go. The battle is on between the 09 and the 01. I thought the 01 was going to get into the 09 there, but they lay off each other, and things will go on. 09 deep into the dogleg, trying to get some sort of speed, but that 30 is just too quick, with Reese right back there in 4th. Roberge trying to get around traffic to get to him.
So this is where the sun has set completely here, Carlos. So the track is completely covered in shade and in somewhat darkness. The lights have kicked on. So track temperature is falling dramatically here. So the grip is going to be going up with every lap out there. So we're going to start seeing guys get really aggressive. And right now, there's only one spot to actually the 11 pulls over for Roberge. It is now Roberge right on the back bumper of 62 of Reese, battling for 5th and 4th on the racetrack, and 1st and 2nd in the championship standings.
Yep, Roberge has gotten around the 11 of Chris Mato, so now his sights are set on that 62. How aggressive is the 62 going to drive the 98? Both of them are good to go to the finish on fuel. It's a matter of tire. How many tire sets do they have left? Should we find ourselves under caution again? Here comes the 98 as he's going to suck up to the bumper here. 01, a little loose off of 4 there, so this might allow the 62 to try and put a buffer between them.
Yeah, he's going to have to put up a fight. Roberge, remember, on the fresher tires between these two, but the 62 is not going to just roll over. This is the only guy you can't just pull over and let go. You've got to put up a fight here to keep him behind you as long as you can. Make him use up those tires. Checked up a little bit in middle of the corner, but that's going to allow him to get a good drive off the 62.
Really brake checked the 98 there, so the 98 had to back off as well to avoid running into him, but the 98 fights back. Oh, it got a little loose on corner exit, but he maintains him just a little bit. He's going to have to try to use the dogleg here, try and gain some speed, but the gap between them is a couple car lengths as now the 62 is going to try and get around the 01.
Yeah, going to use that little bit of a gap as an opportunity to get by the 01 of Lawrence, and he does just that. But Robert's right there in tow. He's going to get by him as well and get him cleared going into turn 1.
They'll give the 62 a little bit more of a gap here as Gossett trying to pull away from the 09 of Christopher Williams and is going to now. The gap is 7/10. Here comes the 98.
There he goes.
To the inside here as they head towards turn number 3. The battle for the championship
Whoa.
is on. Slams the door. What a block there on the 98.
That's a power move from the 62, but I can guarantee you he's not going to get away with that much longer. That was a little bit of generosity there from the 98, a little bit of a checkup. Allowed him to slide in front, but I guarantee you if he tries that again, he won't be so nice next time. Looking to the inside again, using that dog leg a lot further down this time.
He's going to try it again, but I don't know.
Oh, he turned him!
Did he save it?
What a save! No, he's not done yet! Into the wall!
Oh my goodness, no
caution. We stay green.
So everyone, the 43, the 30, and the 09 are going to drive away, but oh my goodness.
I mean, there's no time to even collect our thoughts. We're still under green, but I guarantee you Robert's is not going to be happy.
Leach is off on the apron, but it looks like he saved it. He'll keep it going. We're still green. Wow, what a move.
I've got the comms pulled up here, Carlos, so I'm doing my best to listen to kind of see what the response is from Roberge and Reese, but they've been pretty quiet to each other over the radio. I think maybe they just know, man, we're racing for a championship, and Roberge drove it in there, put the bumper to the 62, and he's like, you know what? What goes around comes around. I'm going to do the same to you, and the 98 got the worst of it, but I promise you this is not over if that 98 gets back to the 62.
46 got the wall there off of 4, and see if that's going to have anything as the 62 maintains third spot. Again, the 30 of Gossett and the 09 of Williams have pulled away from this group of guys. 33 laps to go this evening. The gap between Reese and Robert is just 2 seconds.
And you can bet that Reese wants to keep as many cars between him and that 98 as possible. That's why you're not seeing him just let the 46 of Takis go by. He's got a nice 3-car buffer between him and the 98, and he wants to keep it that way because, man, if that 98 gets back to him, there's not going to be any playing nice between those two.
No, it's not, as he is not quite in our screen there, but on the front stretch, you'll see him. The 46 washes up to the 62 again. And I'm telling you, who was probably loving that little battle there was the 97, because if those guys took each other out and out of this thing, the 97's the champ.
Yeah, well, and it would have opened up the door for him for sure. Remember, Bass is still scored currently a lap down in 9th, so he would need to be on the lead lap and would need these guys to take each other out of the race entirely to capitalize on that. But definitely likes to see a little bit of spice being thrown into that little mix.
These guys continue to do battle. 30 laps to go here tonight at Phoenix Raceway. Carlos Zimmerman, Logan Brakey bringing you the action. Had a little technical difficulties earlier, but they are far from our sight now. We're getting ready to bring you quite the battle to this finish of this one. The gap between the 62 and the 98 is still about 2 seconds.
Still comfortable if you're Christopher Reeds, but if you're Christopher Roberts, you know, he hit that wall pretty good. It wasn't just a soft touch, so gotta wonder what that's doing to the handling. He has closed up on this pack a little bit. Chris Takis, meanwhile, all over the back bumper of Reeds, trying to get him up and out of the way.
And Takis not running for a title, lost that opportunity last week at Indy. So he's just trying to run for bragging rights now. He's in 11, 4 laps down, competing with these 2 championship contenders. The ones that remain, Chris Bass had trouble early on. That's why he's more than likely out of the picture as well. It's down to the 62 and the 98. Oh, one loops on the front stretch, but saved it.
That's a big save, and that opened up the door for Roberts. He's going to be able to gain a spot out of this, but remember, points don't matter here. He's got to beat the 62 if he wants to take home that championship trophy. Move him up a spot, and he's got his sights set now on the 11.
So Roberge right now, with having to get around those guys, he is now, the gap is widened to 2.1 seconds. Matos, a little loose there in that fourth spot. A good run for the 11. I'm going to give a call to him. We're talking about our championship contenders. This guy running in just his third race this season. And despite the small field, he is up in the fourth spot and really being competitive down the stretch here of those who are going to get interviews here at the end of the night.
Yeah, making a good charge, but I mean, here comes the championship contender, Chris Roberge. He's fighting with a vengeance right now. He's got a little bit of a gap to close up now, as Takis and Reese have kind of driven away, but we'll see what kind of speed that 98 machine still has in it.
And don't look now, folks. Reese is starting to run down the 09 of Christopher Williams because Williams has definitely lost the 30 of Gossett. Now, folks, you don't have to really worry about the 30 right now. He is well in control of this race, and if it stays green, he's going to win this race, his third straight, dating back to Rockingham. So it's a good run for him and a good run for Williams as well, but Reese is kind of trying to pull further and further away from the 98, and is he going to let the 46 go here?
I wouldn't. You never know how long you could stay side by side with him, and every time you slip out of that groove, you know, it's a little bit of a slower corner than you'd like to have, and that just allows the 98 to close up. I'm watching that gap. He's slowly chipping away at it lap by lap. He is coming. That 98 is coming.
Gap still sits at about 2.3 seconds. So it's going to be very close towards the end of this thing, folks. Still at 2 seconds. Robert's trying to do all he can to run down the 62. And remember, folks, the gap between Reese and Robert, there's a 10-lap discrepancy between them as to when they pitted. So the 98 is still technically on older tires, or newer tires, excuse me, than 62 is the one on the older tires. So there's that difference, but it's not going to matter when this gets down to inside 10 laps.
No, I mean, it's all bets are off. Doesn't matter who's got the freshest tire. And we saw that we saw that on this restart here with the 62 and the 98. The 98's got the fresher set of tires between the two. Maybe not so now after the slide and the contact with the wall, but at the point in time, Robert's had the fresher set of tires, and we didn't see Reese give an inch. He fought hard to keep that track position. So it's down to the wire, man. You got to work with what you have, and time is right now running out for Robert. He wants and needs a caution. These guys both do have a set of tires left in the bank, so a caution now would really make things interesting. But the guy that doesn't want it is Christopher Reese.
Gap now at 2.5 seconds as he's starting to gap him and starting to run up here on the 09. Little bit of higher end exit there, so he might lose a little time, but not too much to the 98 there as the gap shrinks to 2.2 seconds.
That gap is closing. It's just a matter of does he have enough time to get there and complete the pass. I don't think he's going to waste any time in getting the pass made, especially after what happened. Definitely going to see a lot of argy-bargy being thrown into effect here to try and get back by him, but it's a matter of catching him at this point in time. He's closed that gap further still. It's now down to 2 seconds.
Yep, right back to 2 seconds now. The gap now he's gained half a second as the 62 is actually in a little bit of dirty air now. The 09 of Christopher Williams is just ahead of him about half a second as the 09 is just wicked loose right now. Yeah, he is fighting an ill-handling race car, so that's why that gap is starting to close in a bit because of that dirty air. The 09 really high off the corner there. The 62 is going to be right up to him.
Yeah, really got his hands full. There's the 09 of Chris Williams. You see him lap after lap fighting that thing from entry off. You see him way up out of the groove. There's no grip up there, so that's all going to do anything but help him.
62 goes to the inside. He's going to try and pass him here into 1 and 2. Robert's just got the gap nearly down to a second. So he's right there in your screen now, folks. So this is not over yet. 62 up to second. Williams back to third. The gap is 8/10.
Remember, folks, points do not matter. It's the highest finisher of these two wins the championship. So it's not a situation where if Robert's finishes where he's at, he wins the championship. He's got to pass Reese to win this championship, and Reese has got to stay ahead of him to win his championship.
The good thing for Reese now, he's back into that clean air. The 46 is backing off of him as well. The gap remains at 1 second now, over 1 second. So I'm trying to check the track map here. 62 doesn't have to worry about any sort of lap traffic, so it is clear sailing for him. Roberge, though, is not going to let him out of his sight.
No, and Roberge is the faster of the two right now. The gap opened up just a little bit there to about 1.1 that time by. But it was upwards of 3 to 4 seconds after that contact. So he is on a charge. It's just a matter of, does he have the tires left on that thing to continue to close down? Want to point out too, Takis is not battling for position. He's just riding right now behind the 62. So that is a lapped car between the 62 and the 98.
15 laps to go this evening. Tommy Gossett well in control of the race. Chris Roberge starting to close in on this two-car tandem here, basically, of the 62 and the 46. The gap between the 62 and 98 is 8 tenths. He's coming. He's there. All in the same screen as they hit the line. 14 laps to go. Oh, boy, it's going to get really exciting, folks. Don't turn away your screen. I know we got another race going on, about to go on right now here. It's the Veterans of Foreign Wars Cup Series race, but keep it glued here. A championship battle in the works, and the gap between them now is nearing half a second.
Curious to see what the 46 does when the 98 gets to him. Does he pull high, let him go? I would hope he does. He's got no reason to stay and be a roadblock for that 98. So when the 98 gets to his back bumper, I should expect him to see him let him go by with ease. He's there now. We'll see if he does give way.
He's still being that buffer between the 62 and the 98. You gotta wonder, was Roberge really saving a lot of his stuff as he slowly ran down the 62?
Could have been. I mean, that contact and those slides, it wasn't doing either of these guys any favors, but it's definitely a harder job on the 98 to close up that gap, because he's got to push. He can't just ride around and save. The 62 has been able to do that. Been able to take care of his stuff since he's had the advantage with the big gap, but that gap is now gone. It's still staying right around 0.8 of a second, though. It hasn't really closed since then.
11 laps to go now. The 46 still riding around. They're battling back there for the fourth spot between the 09 and the 01. We're not going to worry about that as they're battling for a great run to the end of their season. The 01 gets around the 09 and he'll take the spot. Gap now widening back out a little bit as Roberge is losing a little bit of time. The gap's back to a second with 10 to go. Whoa, Tackett close. That might be the opportunity for Roberge to get around him.
Yeah, get out of that dirty air. Doesn't have the runoff of 4.
No, he doesn't. The 46 washes up to the 98, and he's still going to be that buffer between the 98 and the 62. Roberge just needs to get around him because he's running out of time.
Yeah, that gap has opened up near to a second now. Tack is continuing to kind of be a little bit of a roadblock there for the 98. You would like to see lap cars in this scenario pull over and give way, but that's obviously not on the mind of the 46 right now. So a little bit of frustration, I'm sure, for the 98 of Roberge having to deal with that dirty air from the 46. He's actually slideways off of 2.
So that's going to let the 98 go by.
Okay, clean air now. Sights set, target locked. Here we go. It's going to be just inside 10 laps to go this time by.
8 to go to be exact as the 46 pulls out of the way and lets them race. The gap between them now at about a second. Gossett, again, well in control of this one. Chris Bass is disconnected from the server. It is all down to this. A wonderful year of Chris Cup is going to be closing in 7 laps now. The 62 trying to gap away from the 98 and cruise to his first championship in this inaugural season, and doing it by not even winning a single race.
Yeah, that's the big story for both of these guys. No wins for either of these two on the season. Just good, solid, consistent. That gap is now over a second. A little bit of a wider line through 1 and 2 for Christopher Reese. He's got to stay consistent with his gap, though.
Gap on the live telemetry sits at about a second exactly. 6 laps to go right now between the 62 and the 98. The 98 trying to do all he can to close in on these guys. But, ooh, 62 a little loose off the corner there. That might add a little extra time for Roberge.
Still just over a second, about 1.2 seconds is the gap. I think it's pretty smooth sailing here. Only 5 laps to go. You're seeing Roberge use a little bit of that dog leg to kind of chip away at that gap now. Reese just needs to hit his marks here for these final 5 laps, and this is as good as his.
At the line, 5 laps to go. Gap between them still about a second and a second.
Whoa, really wide.
Tailed it there, went wide. That's going to allow the 98 to close.
Those tires really starting to go away on that 62. I just don't think that the gap is close enough. Robert's really driving hard to close that gap down.
Gap between them now at a full second. Can the 98 try to run him down in 4 laps? I think for that to happen, he needs another mistake to happen from the 62. Let's see as he goes through 1 and 2 here. Needs to drive it cleanly. He does. 46 behind them doesn't. That might have been the one that got the 62 the championship, that drive through 1 and 2.
Yeah, nice smooth corner there. The gap did shrink down to 1.1, but it's still big enough that he can just hit his mark. Smooth and steady will win him this race. This is a battle for 2nd and 3rd on the racetrack, but it is the battle for the championship. 3 laps to go.
It'll be 2 this time by for Chris Tommy Gossett to pick up his 3rd straight win on the season. What a year he has had, and it's going to just continue to get better for him. The gap between them now, ooh, it's
1 second.
Inside a second. It's inside a second. I just don't think it's enough time.
He's there. He's definitely there. He's closed in on these final few laps. Reese is doing a little bit of mirror driving here. 2 laps to go. I think he's looking in that mirror too much. It's inside a second now. It's up down to a half a second.
White flag is about to fly in the air for Chris Tommy Gossett, but we're going to look at this battle for the championship. It's within half a second now. The 62 trying to maintain it here. Car on the apron with an engine blowing up. The 98 is coming in a hurry. He is near the back bumper. It's the last lap for these guys as the car's blowing up on the inside there. Never mind. Here we go. The battle is on. Chris Tommy Gossett is going to win the race, but we're going to watch this battle to the finish.
Just one more good corner is all he needs. Roberge is going to send it in pretty hard here. Hardest corner he's ever driven in his life right here.
The 62 of Christopher Reese trying to hold off the 98 of Chris Roberge.
He's got him.
He's going to do it. Christopher Reese is going to finish 2nd, and he's going to win the inaugural year of the cNASCAR Chris Cup Series. He is your champion.
Just absolutely ecstatic on the radio is Christopher Reese. What a job for him. No wins on the season. An excellent drive from both of these guys. Giving it everything they could. There's the little bump of respect and congratulations from the 98. Good to see there's no bad blood from the contact we saw earlier in 3 and 4. Just 2 guys fighting hard for a championship, and we're going to see the infamous dual burnouts here between the champion and the race winner. Careful now, don't want to hit one another.
Again, the race winner, the 30 of Chris Tommy Gossett. Dominant performance for him tonight. And then the finish. Just inside 0.4 of a second was the gap between the 62 and the 98. Oh, excuse me, man. What a run it was, as I think both of these guys now are going to do their variants of the Polish victory lap. Something Chris Tommy Gossett has done in his races he's won this year. 4 wins on the year for him in the final 10 races of the season. So what a performance. It'll be exciting to see what he does in Season 2. As here they go through around the corners for no fans in attendance, minding the social distancing factors, but doing it for everyone watching here on the Flatout Racing Network. What a run for the 30, and then another great run for the 62 of Christopher Reese.
And it wasn't due to lack of effort from the 98. He drove his heart out there. We saw the contact in 3 and 4. It was very aggressive from the 98, but man, It's go time. That was for a championship. That was racing for a championship. And to my eye as a spectator, Carlos, that was all clean. The bump from the 98 to move the 62 up the racetrack, and then the bump back from the 62 to take the spot back. It put the 98 up into the fence, but eye for an eye in that situation, and it wasn't necessarily one of these guys wrecking the other for the championship win. It was hard racing between these two, and that's stuff you love to see here from Phoenix. A race that many people doubted as being a pretty boring championship finale. I think this race might have proved a lot of them wrong here.
As you see, Roberge, they're hanging with these guys as they head to the start-finish line. We're going to flash up your full finishing results from this evening. Chris Tomigas had a first-place run, a great one. His third straight win, his fourth overall on the year. Christopher Reese, your champion, he finished second tonight. Chris Roberge, he ended up third. He'll be second on the championship grid. And then how about some other good runs for these guys? We ended up with 3 cars on the lead lap. That's how good the 30 was tonight. But Chris Matos, a fourth-place finish in his just his fourth race on the year. A grid run for him. Christopher Lawrence, 5th. Williams, he ends up 6th after fighting an ill-handling race car. Chris Raul Mesa, 7th. Chris Jonathan Leach, 8th. Christopher Landy, a good comeback. He's 9th. And then Christopher Takis rounded out the top 10 as you'll see the rest of the results here. Chris Bass, he's going to end up 12th. Here at the end of this one, really just that accident he had early on in this race, that ended up being the knife in the coffin on his championship hopes. And, if that didn't happen to him, I think that Bass probably would have, with how he was running tonight, this was really his championship to take.
Yeah, he was certainly my favorite coming into this thing. He was definitely the fastest out of the 3 all season long. And I hate to be too hard, but I think it was just a move that didn't need to be made that early into the race, Carlos. It was an aggressive move that happened very early in, and it ultimately costed him his championship. So it's really unfortunate, but like I said, it doesn't matter what you did to get there. It doesn't matter how good of a season you had up to this point. All it comes down to is getting to this Final Four and racing to the championship. It comes down to one race after a hard long season. So really unfortunate way to end his season, but it gave a fantastic battle for us to watch there for the championship.
So we're going to go ahead and we'll get into the interview portion of the segment tonight. We're going to talk to Chris Roberge first, and then we'll talk to Chris Tomigasu, who won the race, and then we'll talk to the champion, Christopher Reese, who finished second. So let's talk to Chris Roberge. Chris Roberge, this is Carlos Zimmerman in the FRN booth. You got me?
Yes, I do.
Man, it was quite a run for you there at the end. You were starting to run back up on the 62 right there at the finish, but just couldn't quite close it out. A third-place run for you tonight, second in the championship grid. Just give me your thoughts, man. I'm sure from a driver's standpoint, it's upsetting to not win a title, but, man, it's not like you didn't try to go get it.
Well, that was the hardest thing, man. Plus, I'm burning up, too. I'm just trying to hurry up and get to it. I was leading a few laps, and I had a great cruise chief, too. So he was helping me trying to discuss what's going to happen. I pit a little earlier ahead of other people just to get up there. And then it kind of sucks what happened to the leader, Bass, what happened to him. And then Reese had the same issues. He got loose. I don't know how I didn't keep myself not loose, but I got a few little loose, not much as heavy as everybody else has.
Man, you drove the wheels off of it tonight, and again, a third place run for you. I just want to ask you that little thing that happened there with you and Reese, there with about 30 or so laps to go, which ended up being the difference tonight. Just give me your thoughts. Were you holding any bad blood against him, or were you just thinking like, oh, we're racing for a title, so it's all bets off?
Because he braked a little earlier than I did, and I didn't expect it, so that's why I kind of bumped him a little bit, and he got loose, and at least he saved it at least, and then somehow I think when he tried to save it, he kicked in and hit my car and made me lost it, but it's okay. Things are happening. It was a hard race between us two.
Now, as you look ahead to season 2 now, what's your mindset now? The season 1's over. We're going to get a few weeks off here, and then get going again for a second season of this. First of all, I believe you would. Let me ask you if you plan to make a return.
It might be hard to say because I'm in a different league here next for season. After this, I'm going to be sticking around with the other league for now because I'm going to check on that one.
Already got you. But again, a great run for you tonight. Third place, second in the championship grid, and you're really a thing we documented tonight. You and Reese, after Bass fell away, you both did not win a single race this season. It was a winless season for both of you. So really, you guys were Matt Craftoning it out there, and just arguably a really good run. Before I let you go this evening, we'll talk to our race winner, Chris Tommy Gossett. Anybody want to shout out?
Yeah, I want a big, huge shout out for the number 4. Something happened to him earlier today in that race. He had seizure. Um, it's a grandma thing. He had a really bad issue. He had to left for a reason, and for a prayer for him. And I want a big thanks for Chris Jones for hosting this awesome Chris League Cup. Thanks for all you guys for the greatest broadcast. It was great. And congrats on Tom for his win.
Alrighty, that was Chris Roberge, your third place runner here tonight. This is the end of the season for you. Hopefully, we'll get to see you a little bit in next season. But regardless, great run for you tonight, and God bless, man.
Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to go ahead and talk to our race winner, Chris Tommy Gossett. Chris Tommy Gossett, this is Carlos Zimmerman in the FRN booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir, I do. How are y'all doing tonight?
Doing really well, man. There's not much to say. We focused really on those last 30 laps, I'll be honest, with the 62 and the 98, as that was the battle for the title. But you just drove the wheels off of that number 30 machine. Just tell me, what was your kind of race tonight, really? Because I'm sure it was much different from what everyone else was doing.
Yeah, my race tonight was more so just about going out there, winning the race, and running my own thing and practicing, really getting an experience here, racing everybody else going into next season. And I do apologize for showing up in the 30 tonight. My hauler got stolen on the way to the track, so I had to borrow this one that I ran in NIS last night at Richmond. So
no worries, but man, it was you really just this is really going to be a testament to what we're going to be seeing in season 2 for you, because you've just shown utter dominance week in and week out, and I'm sure you're very excited to be able to run a full season.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think I missed the playoff cutoff by 2 regular season races because I ran the last 2 and you had to run 4, so I was kind of gutted by that. But rules are rules, so I just came in and was going trophy hunting, trying to beat Tate's win record on the season. But unfortunate finish at Homestead and unfortunate finish at Chicagoland and Tire Strat at Homestead beat me out on that one. So I'll take my 4 wins. Good experience with these guys, built some good relationships, and had some fun. So at the end of the day, that's all that matters.
Alrighty, just again a great run for you tonight. And before I let you go this evening, because we got a championship man to talk to here in just a minute, and Christopher Reese. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, first off, I got to thank God for putting me in the position to do this. And secondly, I ask all y'all to pray for Nate Cotia. He's Chris N. Cotia in here. The reason that caution came out with him is he ended up having a seizure in the race. So please keep him in your thoughts and prayers. And then leaning on from that, I got to thank my mom and dad for putting me up with me doing this. I got to thank SP Designs, as you saw in the primary sponsorship on my car tonight. SimNut Racing Sims for being a sponsor of the league and a sponsor of mine. He does wonderful stuff, builds wonderful rigs. My team, Lowline Racing, and thank y'all for a wonderful broadcast season, and we'll look forward to having you back next year.
All right, that was Chris Tommy Gossett, your race winner here this evening. Best of luck to you in season 2. You're the odds-on favorite to be really, really dominant next year. We'll see how it all plays out. God bless you, man. Have a good night.
Thank you, Carlos.
All righty, we're now going to talk to the man of the hour, your second place finisher tonight, but your champion, Christopher Reese. Christopher Reese, this is Carlos Zimmerman in the FRN booth. You got me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear, guys.
Man, unreal. I think that's really what it all comes down to. You didn't win a single race this year. But what it came down to was this final race. You got into the playoffs. You did just enough each time that we had a cut line. and you got yourself in the championship four, and then what do you know? All the cards played out well for you tonight, and you are the inaugural cNASCAR Chris Cup Series champion. Just give me your thoughts.
Man, I'm still shaking and just, got chills going up and down me. I absolutely hate that it went down that way. Before the race, I told all the guys that I was hoping that me and Roberge and Bass, and if Otto jumped in, finish the race 3 wide, 4 wide, going across start finish line, and iRacing's timings were who determined a champion.
Yeah, no, I saw you made that comment, and that just shows the respect that you got for everyone in this series. It was quite the battle all the way to the end. Give me your thoughts, man. Around 30 to go, you made that contact with the 98, and that eventually ended up being the difference. I'm sure you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure that was all in defense to try and keep yourself out in front.
Really, man, when I got in there and I was trying to defend the bottom line. I mean, I'm not going to pull any punches on that. I was going to make him try and pass me up high, but he had the speed to do it either way. But and whenever I got in there, I had to, of course, brake to make the corner, and he got in the back of me. And then while I was trying to save it, I got into him, and I still kind of feel sick about that. I've been apologizing the whole time in the waiting room too. Like I said, I absolutely hate it for him.
I mean, regardless, though, I mean, it is the final race of the year, and that ended up being the difference, as I said, to you getting a championship. So you're the inaugural champion. Do we see you for season 2?
Oh yeah, I've been planning on racing with these guys until they kick me out for a while now. Every one of them's a lot of fun. Of course, we all get on each other's nerves from time to time, and at the beginning of the year, there was a few of them that were even wanting to boot me out because I was causing cautions and wrecking people, and we've all got better throughout it, and I hope we're putting on good racing for you guys and the fans to watch, and I can't wait for season 2 to kick off and trying to win this title.
Yeah, we hope to return and bring the Chris Cup Series season 2 to you guys next season. We'll see how that plays out. Got a little bit of off time to sort out all the nooks and crannies of that decision, but man, what a run for you tonight, Christopher Reese. First in the championship, second in the race. Before I let you go this evening, anybody you want to give a shout out to for this incredible run for you this season that led to this title?
SimNut Racing Sims for coming on board and sponsoring us. From what I understand, they're on board for next year too, so that's awesome of them to come in and help us out. Chris Jones for putting this thing on. Most of us probably would have never ran together if it hadn't been for him thinking this thing up. Of course, I got to thank the wife for putting up with me sitting in this seat for hours on end for the last 5 weeks since we started the chase, trying to get better at these tracks so I could compete for this deal at the end. And I want to thank just all the Chris's in the league for the great fun season I've had.
All righty, that is your second place finisher tonight, but the winner of the inaugural season of the Chris Cup Series, Christopher Reese. Best of luck to you in season 2. We hope to see you then. For now, God bless you, man, and congrats on the championship.
Thank you, sir. You guys have a good one.
All righty, Logan. Well, what else is there to say? That's it. The inaugural season of the Chris Cup Series has come to a close, and we have our champion in the 62 of Christopher Reese.
Yeah, it was a fantastic season all the way down there to the last lap there for the championship, and just never disappointed this season. Some of the races were long, and we had the dull moments about midway through, but almost every single one of them always turned out to be a pretty exciting finish for you and us to call. And there were a lot of unforgettable races that took place throughout the course of the season, and really excited for season 2 to kick off.
Again, we hope to be able to be back and bring things to you for the cNASCAR Chris Cup Series season 2. We hope that we'll be back for it. We'll work out the technical stuff behind it, and then if we come back, we do. If not, it has been an incredible pleasure bringing this series to you guys. It was a lot of fun. I'm sure it was a lot of fun. I can speak for Logan, and that was a lot of fun for him in the races he participated in. I want to give a thanks to a few people that have been on board with me throughout a lot of the season, and those that have even filled in for me for the calling this series. Sam Dyer, Seth Cole, Matthew Rodriguez, and Bronson Stafford. A big thank you to all those guys for covering for me and or Logan in certain times that we have not been able to bring this series to you. So a big thanks to them. And also a big thank you to Matthew and Seth for all they do to bring FRN to life and bring it to you folks out here. Folks, we are not quite done with our coverage tonight here on Flatout Racing Network. Over on our other race going on right now, the Veterans of Foreign Wars Cup Series race 27 to 35. They are live right now at Richmond. Seth Cole and Sam Dyer, they are on the call for that one. They're about lap 36 right now. Should be a fun one. They're getting down to the nitty-gritty of their season, so go ahead and head on over there and check them out. Logan, any final thoughts before we close out season 1 of Chris Cup?
Yeah, as we heard mentioned by a few of the competitors there in the interviews, we want to extend our thoughts and prayers to Nate Katila. We saw him have the issues there under caution. We thought it might have been something mechanical on his side there with the sim rig or something. So obviously extending our best wishes to him. Hope he makes a good recovery and is able to get back doing what he loves and continue racing here on iRacing.
That'll wrap things up for us here tonight at Phoenix, Arizona. I will be back in the booth tomorrow with Warren Keith for the third race of the season, the TechHub.tv Cup Series presented by Heaven's Best and brought to you by Kicking Asphalt Racing. We are at the big behemoth, the Talladega Super Speedway tomorrow night. Should be a lot of fun. 2.66 miles of grinding action to find a winner for the third race of the season in the TechHub.tv Cup Series. For Logan Brakey, my name's Carlos Zimmerman. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed this production of Flatout Racing Network's production of the cNASCAR Chris Cup Series. And again, we hope to be back for a second season. I'll see you tomorrow night. Good night one more final time from Phoenix, Arizona. God bless and stay safe, everyone.